Hi and welcome, it's Peter Vaughan here talking about 2020, the year ahead and all the months in between. What we've got here is something I've drafted up on the board. It's about White Island. Now this is horrific. It was a terrible thing that happened, but it happened. And it's kind of interesting that it happened as timely as it did, because I've got a track record here of the last 150 odd years when the island has gone up. And if I look at the most recent eruptions on this island, we're looking at 1994, 95, 98, 99, then 2000, 2001, 2013, 2016 and 2016. You could say it was due. And the shipload of people that came in on the international cruiser, and the Oceana I think it was called, and they had stopped at Whakatane, and they had their choices of what they might like to do whilst visiting that town. There was whitewater rafting, there was Hobbiton, and there was White Island. Now I've got ticks beside these two because nothing went wrong. But White Island, in assessing it after the fact, fine after the fact, but the thing is, after the fact is when I can see what I'm looking for, something was going to happen, and it did happen. And it happened timely, untimely for many. But to bring ourselves to this particular point, I want to go over something here. Next year, when we're looking at your own personal life and we're looking at relationships or family matters, some ventures that you might be doing, they could be any kind of venture, even an entrepreneurial one. You've got travel and you've got investments. In this case, I've got the cross here because of what happened here. If you were talking to me about that, I probably would have advised you a bit differently. And buying and selling. And just to give you an example of when I give people alerts ahead of time, how it can save them, let's talk about investments here. I had a client who came to me and said, I've got a massive development contract to sign with the New Zealand government, and it had 4 very large folders with little yellow tags out where signing had to take place. And all I said was, looking at the company itself and my client, I said, there's a problem here with detail. Just pay attention to the detail. Well, they did, and they went through it and through it and through it. And at the last moment, he went, oh my God, the contract number on the top was wrong. If he had signed that and delivered it back without checking, it meant that instead of him getting incremental payments, he would have had to pay for the entire contract on his own, which would have just wiped him out. And he would have been in debt for a long time. So details are important. And looking here then, what were the details that could have given me advice or insight to the right choices for that particular event on that particular day? Well, I'm just going to move this over. White Island was formed, or should I say named, by Captain James Cook on the 1st of October 1769. Now this year it had its 250th birth date based on that naming. And there's a lot to do with naming in the work that I do, because it controls what happens to something at what time. 280,000 case studies behind me. I can provide empirical data and statistics to back up what I do, and 40 years of research. So if we looked at these things and the whole lot went boom at that time, young Jake Milbank. Now this was a person's name who was a tour guide who was named in the news media that it was his birthday, his 19th birthday, on the day that he was on that particular tour, and he died. Do you know, it's interesting to note that on that day for him, it was a boom day, a day where I would have said, whoa, this is not a healthy time for you. I'd be careful and start to look at other things around him. Because you could have a bad hair day, as it were, on your own, and you might stub your toe. But when it comes down to having a bad day, when a whole lot of other people or things are having a bad day at the same time, like the company called Windy 2017, which is a tour company around White Island. And it was formed on the same date that White Island Tours was formed. And Ngāti Awa Investments Limited was formed on the 10th of March 2005. And of course, White Island here. When I look at all of these coming together at the same time, they all had a massive problem I call a cluster. Clusters are not to be ignored, because when too many events come together at the same time, stuff can happen. And this is what I do for people when I'm looking at their family or their individual lives themselves. So if you would like to know what's happening in your life next year, I can provide a profile which will give you a forecast of the 12 months ahead. I can look at your charts, and on these charts I'm able to determine what's happened, what's happening, and what will happen. I have had clients for years following this, but I thought it's time to let you know out there, if you would like one before 2020 gets in, get hold of my website, www.petervaughan.net, that's all it is, and on there go to get a profile. And when you click on that tab, there's even a couple of videos. Have a look at them and see what I do when I'm performing on television, for example, and see how I was able to identify events that I couldn't possibly have known about. So, this was an accident waiting to happen only when people came together. And when you look at the eruptions of White Island going up on its timely fashion, it was due to happen any time. So I could go deeper and look at the entire of Whakatane businesses now, and I'd see it'd be all over the place, they'd all be having troubles. So please, for your sake, and for your family's sake, and for your health and well-being, go and have a look at my site, and if you would like to get a full forecast for the entire of next year, and I'll guarantee they're pretty damn accurate, with a profile report for yourself. I'd love to help you out, I'd love to see you come in. petervaughan.net for a happy and safe 2020. Thanks for watching.